in the mind of Shon
And someone
Jackson.
said, "Speak up!" And I just felt this feeling of absolute shame. That feeling of an audience looking at you and a feeling of judgment which cripples us. And I left that venue and I thought to myself, never again. Now that clearly doesn't work because I'm here. I also thought I'm going to do it differently next time. I'm going to make sure that the next time I stand up to speak, it feels good. And where I had to go was within. Now we live in a really visual culture. We spend a lot of time, if we think about two worlds, we spend a lot of time thinking about the outside, maybe especially for women. And actually, confidence doesn't exist on the outside. It exists within, in the visceral stuff, in the bits within you that we don't see. And we're going to go to those bits. And when I was thinking about this idea 3 months ago, when I got asked to do it, I started to feel nervous about this moment. I started to think about a quote that the director Peter Brook had said, which is that we open new drawers in the self. And I started to think about a chest of drawers. And then I came across this really cool baker called George McCallum, who's actually sitting there. And I said to George, "Can you make me a chest of drawers?" And he did. Now you might be wondering what this object is. And what this object is here is what George made. But when you ask a maker to make a chest of drawers, they don't always do what you think they're going to do. Do you want to see what he did? Yeah, thanks George. Best response of the morning. Upstaged by the furniture. And within this little chest of drawers, this rather big, manly chest of drawers, are 3 secrets to finding confidence within. 3 lessons that I had to learn on the way. Now there's a big lesson in here. The last lesson is the big one. We're going to get there. And it's not what you might think. It's a lesson that might surprise you. But first, would you like to see inside the first drawer? A bit delicate. George. So what we have in here is an instrument. Because as you've just been hearing, the voice is the most amazing instrument. It's magnificent. And how often do you think about how yours works? Because like this little guitar, it has a string and it has a hitter. Where's the string of your voice? A handle. Here, give it a shake with your larynx. Get everybody do that for me. And then the hitter is the air. Now when you know that your voice is an instrument, what does that tell you? You know, people come to me and they say, "Oh, I've got a bad voice, I'm not a good speaker, I get worried about this kind of moment, I hate meetings, I hate presentations, can't do it." The voice is an instrument. There's no such thing as a bad saxophone, is there? Because when we hear a great saxophonist, and he's probably somewhere down here, what we know is that they've practiced a lot. That not only do they have talent, but also that they have worked and worked and worked to get a great sound. Now, if you ever doubt the sound of your voice, let me tell you, all you have to do is practice. And when I was worrying about that moment that I'm going to call my central hall of shame, because it was, what I remembered was the story of a guy in ancient Greece called Demosthenes. That's a bit of a big old name, so we're going to call him the Greek dude from now on, which actually is also a bit of a big word, so we might just call him Dave, I think. Now Dave was speaking at the assembly, which is like the O2. We have Simon in the room. It's like the Brixton Academy of the Greek, ancient Greek world. And he was feeling pretty nervous. He wanted to be an orator. Orators were the rock stars of their day. And so he geared himself up for this big moment at the assembly. And you know what? He bombed. They said he was uncouth in his speaking and that he stammered. And so the audience jeered at him, they threw stuff, "Please don't do that." And he when he got a bit of advice from an actor. Now I'm sure Greek actors were pretty much the same as they are now, and I'm sure the actor was a bit like this. But what he said to him is, you need more expression in your voice. You're just not giving it enough welly, enough energy. And you also need to believe in yourself, because the message is good. So Demosthenes takes himself back home and he goes for it. This is his rocky moment. He builds himself an underground cellar. He shaves his head, half of his head, so that he can't leave the house for 3 months, and then he practices for 3 months solid in front of a big shield that's polished like a mirror. And when he's ready, when he's up there, he goes out, he goes to the sea, and he speaks over the waves, so his voice has to